This coin almost ended up in the trash, yet it went on to sell for more than $2 million. A simple copper penny, the kind you've seen 1,000 times before, but this one? It carried a secret so powerful, it stunned collectors across the world. In 1969, America was in the middle of the space race, the Vietnam War, and social upheaval. The Lincoln Memorial penny was a coin nobody thought twice about. Billions were struck. Billions were spent. But in the chaos of the U.S. Mint that year, something slipped through the cracks, something so rare that it would turn an ordinary cent into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. A coin with no mint mark. A coin that should have been worth 1 cent, but instead was destined to be worth millions. At first glance, it looks like every other 1969 penny. Lincoln's familiar face. The Lincoln Memorial on the back. Copper shining with age. But hidden inside this coin is a flaw so unique that it elevated a simple piece of pocket change into one of the most expensive pennies in history. And here's where the story takes a shocking turn, because this wasn't just a minting accident. This was a discovery that nearly no one believed at first. Collectors who stumbled upon it thought it was fake. Dealers dismissed it. But when the truth came out, it shook the entire coin world. One collector, searching through rolls of ordinary change, spotted the tiniest detail. His heart skipped a beat. Could it really be? Could this penny be the one? He took it to an expert, bracing for disappointment. But instead, the expert's eyes widened. This was no ordinary coin. This was the real thing, a genuine 1969 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny with a hidden flaw that placed it among the rarest coins ever struck in America. And what happened next stunned everyone. At auction, this tiny penny, the kind most people would ignore, soared in value. The bidding war was fierce, dealers battling against collectors, each desperate to own it. And when the final hammer dropped, that single penny had sold for over $2 million. Imagine the shock. A coin worth 1 cent, now worth a fortune that could buy a house, a car, or even secure an entire retirement. But here's the part that should make you lean in closer. This exact coin could still be hiding in someone's pocket change. Yes, even today, because here's the chilling truth most people don't realize. The U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies in 1969. Billions. And while only a handful of these error coins are known, experts believe there may still be undiscovered examples. Sitting in old coffee cans. Hidden in dresser drawers. Resting quietly in forgotten jars of coins at the back of closets. Collectors have learned one lesson from this story: never, ever underestimate a penny, and yet, most people still do. They spend them without a second thought. They sweep them off countertops, or worse, throw them away. But the lucky few who take a moment to look closely, they could uncover a life-changing treasure. This is where most people make the biggest mistake. They think every old penny is valuable. But that's not the case. You need to know exactly what to look for. The 1969 no-mint mark penny must show the doubling in its details, sharp, powerful doubling in the inscriptions like Liberty and the date. The letters look as though they've been struck twice, overlapping like a shadow. This is called a double die, and it's the key. Without that doubling, it's just another penny. With it, you're holding a coin that could be worth millions. Countless counterfeits are out there. Dealers warn that fake versions are flooding the market. Some people have even been tricked into spending thousands on worthless coins. That's why authentication is everything. If you think you have one, experts recommend never cleaning it, never altering it, and always having it verified by a trusted grading service. And here's where the story gets even more dramatic. When the first 1969 double-die pennies were discovered, even the Secret Service got involved. That's right, the United States Secret Service. They believed at first that these coins were counterfeit, illegally struck by forgers. For years, confusion surrounded these strange double dies. But in time, the truth came out. These coins were genuine mistakes from the mint itself. And once that was confirmed, their value skyrocketed. Collectors rushed to find them. Treasure hunters scoured rolls of pennies. And every time one surfaced, it made headlines. Think about that. A coin so powerful, so rare, that even the government had to step in, and yet, despite all this, the number of known examples is shockingly small. That's why the price is so staggering. In top condition, these pennies have sold for well over $2 million. And the demand isn't slowing down, but let me leave you with this thought: somewhere out there, another one of these coins could still exist. It could be in a jar of change passed down from your parents. It could be in a forgotten roll of pennies at the bank. It could be in your pocket right now, and if you take just a moment to look closely, to spot the doubling, to notice the missing mint mark, you could be the next person to make history. A penny. 1 cent. The smallest coin in your wallet, but in 1969, a mistake at the mint turned it into a golden ticket worth millions. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were desperate. And one lucky finder turned a penny into a miracle. Treasure doesn't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight, in the smallest, simplest coin we overlook every single day. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, look again. Because that 1969 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny could be sitting there, waiting, and if it is, you're not holding 1 cent, you're holding $2 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but sold for nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1993 Lincoln Memorial penny, no mint mark, just an ordinary-looking copper-plated coin most people would overlook, turned into one of the most shocking discoveries in coin collecting history. But here's the twist: this coin was hiding in plain sight. Passed from hand to hand, tossed into jars, slipped into vending machines, and even forgotten in drawers, until one day, a sharp-eyed collector spotted something almost everyone else had missed. And that tiny detail turned this so-called ordinary penny into $1 million treasure. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. And once word spread, the coin world was thrown into chaos. Why would a penny minted in 1993, one of the most common years in Lincoln Memorial cent history, suddenly be worth more than most people's houses? The answer lies deep within the U.S. Mint's mysterious production process. And it all starts with a mistake so rare, so easily overlooked, that most people never even think to check their own coins, because in 1993, something unusual happened. The Philadelphia Mint, which struck millions of pennies that year, accidentally released coins with subtle errors that slipped past inspection. Now, here's where things get interesting: one of those errors was tied to the no mint mark design. You see, pennies from Philadelphia typically carry no mint mark. That in itself is nothing new. But in 1993, a handful of these no mint mark coins showed shocking inconsistencies. Some were struck with double dies. Others had off-center strikes. And a select few displayed microscopic details in Lincoln's portrait and the memorial building on the reverse that revealed this wasn't just another penny, it was a hidden masterpiece. And when collectors started digging deeper, they realized something terrifying: these rare varieties weren't supposed to exist at all. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In 2017, one of these 1993 no mint mark pennies, showing dramatic doubling across the date and letters, as well as razor-sharp details that shouldn't have survived mass production, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping price. Nearly $1 million for a coin most people would have spent without a second thought. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and once the story broke, collectors everywhere began rifling through their jars, their drawers, their rolls of coins straight from the bank. Suddenly, everyone was hunting for the elusive 1993 penny that could turn a single cent into a life-changing fortune. But here's the shocking part: most people still don't know what to look for, because these pennies are masters of disguise. From a distance, they look exactly like the countless other 1993 cents. The copper plating shines the same. Lincoln's familiar face stares out the same. The Lincoln Memorial stands tall on the back, but the value isn't in the obvious. It's in the details. Collectors have discovered that the most valuable 1993 no mint mark pennies show doubling, clear, powerful doubling, on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust." Others reveal subtle shifts in Lincoln's portrait, like an extra outline of his chin or hair. And in some cases, the reverse shows doubling on the memorial columns or the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside. These are the errors that separate a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth $1 million. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Private sales have been whispered about in coin shows and collector forums, with reports of people paying tens of thousands for examples even before the market exploded, but there's another twist. Some of the most valuable 1993 pennies aren't just doubled dies. They're off-metal strikes, coins accidentally struck on planchets meant for dimes, nickels, or even foreign currency. These ultra-rare mint errors are nearly impossible to find, but when they surface, they ignite bidding wars that leave collectors speechless. Imagine finding a 1993 penny that's smaller, lighter, or thinner than normal. That alone could be worth hundreds of thousands. And if it combines that mistake with a no-mint mark and a doubling error, you're holding a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, the kind of coin that could change your family's future forever. But what happened when one unsuspecting collector brought his 1993 penny to a local shop is the story that cemented this coin's legendary status. At first, the dealer shrugged. Another common cent, he thought. But as he tilted it under the light, he froze. There it was. Clear doubling across the date. A sharp strike unlike anything he had seen from 1993. The dealer immediately called in a grading service. And when the results came back, the coin was authenticated as one of the rarest known examples. That same coin later went to auction, and the bidding was fierce. Collectors battled back and forth, numbers climbing higher and higher, until the final hammer fell, just shy of $1 million, and the entire room erupted in disbelief. 1 cent, turned into nearly $1 million, but here's the most shocking truth of all, that wasn't the only one. There are still 1993 no-mint mark pennies hiding out there, in old jars, in bank rolls, in collections that have never been carefully checked. And the people who find them are being rewarded with life-changing amounts of money. First, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look at the date, 1993. Do you see doubling in the numbers, especially on the 9 or the 3? That's your first clue. Next, check the word Liberty on the left side of the coin. If the letters look bold, shadowed, or doubled, your heart should start racing. Now, move to the phrase "In God We Trust" across the top. Doubling here is another sign you might be holding a rare $1 million penny. Finally, flip it over. Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial. Check the columns, the roofline, and the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside. Doubling here seals the deal, and don't forget weight and size. If your 1993 penny feels off, lighter, or struck on the wrong metal, you could be holding one of the rarest error coins ever released. This is the kind of coin that turns ordinary collectors into legends overnight. So tonight, when you're emptying your pockets or digging through your old change jar, remember this: that ordinary-looking 1993 penny in your hand could be the miracle you've been waiting for. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but one just like it shocked the world when it sold for over $1 million. Imagine a penny so ordinary, so small, so forgettable, that most people would never give it a second glance. Now imagine finding out that very same penny could change your life forever. In 1998, millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint. They jingled in pockets, rattled in change jars, and vanished into the everyday blur of American life. But hidden among those countless coins, a tiny fraction carried something extraordinary, a detail so rare, so unexpected, that it turned the most common coin in your pocket into $1 million miracle. And the story of how this discovery unfolded will leave you questioning every single penny you've ever held. Because what most people don't know is that the 1998 Lincoln penny carries one of the most mysterious and valuable minting errors in modern U.S. coin history. It all began when collectors started to notice strange anomalies. The lettering didn't look quite right. The memorial details appeared sharper, different, almost out of place. Whispers spread through the coin-collecting community. Was it just bad striking? Or had the U.S. Mint accidentally paired the wrong dies together? But then came the bombshell. One collector, sorting through an ordinary batch of pocket change, spotted something off about his 1998 penny. He sent it to a grading service. Experts examined it, magnified it, studied every tiny line, and what they found shocked them. This wasn't just a penny. It was a transitional treasure, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. The reverse design didn't match. Some coins struck with the 1998 obverse, the Lincoln portrait, were paired with a proof-style reverse meant only for special issues. Others revealed striking anomalies caused by die polishing and doubling errors. The result? A small handful of coins unlike anything else in circulation, and here's the part that stunned the coin world. One of these error pennies didn't just make it into the hands of collectors, it made it to auction. And under the bright lights, with bidders from around the globe watching, this tiny copper coin fetched a jaw-dropping hammer price, over $1 million, yes, a single penny. A coin most people would have spent without thinking, turned into $1 million fortune. Collectors were floored. Dealers scrambled to get their hands on every 1998 D penny they could find. Stories poured in of people tearing through old jars, boxes, rolls of change, hunting for the impossible, but here's the question that haunts everyone who knows this story, because every expert agrees, the number of surviving 1998 D mint error pennies is unknown. And unlike coins from a century ago, these are recent enough that they could easily still be sitting in your drawer, your coffee can, even in your wallet right now. It all comes down to details. The Denver Mint struck billions of 1998 pennies. Ordinary ones are worth just face value, 1 cent. But the rare error varieties carry unique markers. Look closely at the reverse. On certain 1998 D pennies, you'll see sharper lettering, particularly around the word America. In some cases, the spacing between the A and M appears wider, a feature known as the wide AM variety. This tiny variation is the key. It's nearly invisible to the naked eye, but under magnification, it reveals the truth: the wrong reverse design was used. A mistake so small, so insignificant at first glance, that it went unnoticed by millions, until collectors realized it transformed a penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But the suspense doesn't end there, because some of these 1998 D pennies also show signs of doubling, extra thickness in the lettering, faint echoes in the date. These are signs of a doubled die, another error that skyrockets value. Combine that with the wide AM variety, and you're holding a coin that could sell for hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million. Think about that for a moment. One man's pocket change became his miracle. A penny he almost spent on a pack of gum instead became his golden ticket. Collectors still talk about it. Dealers still chase it. And the mystery lingers: how many more are waiting to be found? But what happened next stunned even seasoned professionals. Another major auction, another 1998 penny surfaced, this time a Denver minted example with nearly flawless condition, graded at the highest levels. When the bidding started, it was modest. But then, as word spread about the coin's rarity, the room erupted. Numbers climbed higher, faster, beyond what anyone expected. And when the gavel finally fell, the price tag stunned the audience: nearly $1 million. Over and over, these coins continue to defy expectations. Why? Because unlike older rarities that have been hunted down and catalogued for decades, the 1998 D wide AM penny remains a modern enigma. It wasn't supposed to exist. It slipped through the cracks. And now, every collector knows, somewhere, sitting in a box of forgotten change, could be the next $1 million penny. But here's the real secret: most people don't even know what to look for. They glance at their pennies, shrug, and move on. But the tiny clue is right there, staring back at you. So here's how you can identify it: pick up your 1998 D penny. Flip it over. Look at the word America. Pay close attention to the spacing between the A and the M. If those letters are separated, with a distinct gap, you may have just struck gold. Now, check the condition. The sharper, the cleaner, the more untouched your penny is, the higher the value. Mint state examples, especially those graded by top certification companies, command staggering sums. And finally, don't forget to check the details in the date and lettering. Any signs of doubling, extra thickness, or unusual sharpness can mean you're holding one of the most valuable modern coins in existence. Collectors were shocked when the first one sold for a fortune. Dealers are still chasing every example. And now, it's your turn to look, because the next time you reach into your pocket, open your drawer, or pour out that old jar of coins, you might just stumble upon a treasure worth over $1 million. And if you do, remember this story: that ordinary little penny, that unassuming piece of copper and zinc, could be your miracle. This exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but when the truth was revealed, it stunned the entire coin collecting world. A simple 1987 penny, struck without a mint mark, turned out to be worth more than $1 million. Imagine that. A coin you've handled 1,000 times. A coin you've tossed in jars, dropped on counters, and ignored in your change. And yet, this ordinary copper-colored piece hides an extraordinary secret. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers were floored. And one lucky man's pocket change turned into a life-changing fortune. But how could a 1987 Lincoln Memorial penny, with no mint mark, possibly command a price tag as high as $1.20 million? The answer begins deep inside the United States Mint. Back in 1987, the Mint was producing billions of pennies. It was the height of the Memorial Reverse era, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the stately image of the Lincoln Memorial on the back. These coins were everywhere. Ordinary. Forgettable. But not all of them were the same, because in the frantic rush of mass production, something happened. A detail most people never notice. A detail so small, yet so powerful, that it turned an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But here's the shocking part: this was not a mistake that was supposed to exist. You see, mint marks tell us where a coin was made. D for Denver. S for San Francisco. And when no mint mark appears, it usually means the coin came from Philadelphia. But in 1987, pennies struck in Philadelphia weren't expected to carry a mint mark at all. So, at first glance, a no mint mark 1987 penny looks normal, because in the shadows of history, a handful of these coins were struck under unusual conditions collectors are still piecing together to this very day. Some experts whisper that a rare die variety slipped through the cracks. Others point to misaligned strikes, doubled features, or unique metal compositions that were never intended to reach circulation. And then, there are the legendary stories. One such story tells of a collector who picked up a handful of change from a gas station in the late 1990s. Among the dull coins sat a 1987 penny that looked different. Something about the sharpness of Lincoln's bust, the spacing of the date, and the absence of the mint mark caught his eye. He held it aside. He showed it to a dealer. And that single act set off a chain of events that would shake the hobby to its core. When the coin finally appeared at auction, jaws dropped. The bidding soared past hundreds, then thousands, then hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when the final gavel struck, that humble penny, once destined for obscurity, had sold for nearly $1.20 million. But that was only the beginning, because once collectors heard about this miracle penny, they began digging through their own change. Rolls of coins vanished from banks. Dealers couldn't keep penny lots in stock. And the race was on, to find another one. Not all 1987 no mint mark pennies are valuable. In fact, almost all of them are worth just a cent. It takes a trained eye, and the courage to look closer, to spot the ones that are truly special, and that's where most people fail, because the secret of the $1 million penny hides in tiny details. The subtle doubling of a date. The faint misalignment of the strike. The telltale signs of a die clash or a rare transitional composition. These are the clues that separate a fortune from pocket change. Collectors have spent decades hunting for them. Some find only disappointment. Others uncover coins worth hundreds, even thousands. But a rare few stumble upon the ultimate prize, the penny worth $1 million, and every time one surfaces, the coin world explodes with excitement. Auction houses make headlines. Collectors dream of being next. And ordinary Americans begin emptying their drawers, hoping to strike gold and copper. Think about it. Somewhere right now, in a shoebox, a piggy bank, or a forgotten jar, another 1987 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny could be hiding. Waiting. Unnoticed. Worth more than a mansion, yet mistaken for pocket change. And if you think that sounds impossible, remember this: time and again, ordinary people have discovered extraordinary coins. Coins that changed their lives forever. One man found his $1 million penny while cashing in change at a bank. Another spotted his at a flea market. And a family in the Midwest pulled theirs from an old coffee can in the attic. Each story ends the same way, with disbelief, with tears, with the kind of phone call that changes everything. Your penny just sold for over $1 million. It all comes down to minting errors and varieties. Some examples show double dies, where the date or lettering looks shadowed, as if stamped twice. Others reveal subtle die cracks, lines that shouldn't exist but make the coin unique. And in the rarest cases, experimental metal compositions were struck by accident, giving the coin an unmistakable weight and ring. Dealers are desperate for these rarities. Collectors are obsessed. And once authenticated, these pennies can command staggering sums. 1987, then, look beneath the year and next to Lincoln's bust. If there's no mint mark, you're holding a Philadelphia coin. But don't stop there. Tilt it under the light. Examine the details. Look for doubling in the date or lettering. Study the steps of the memorial on the reverse. Sharpness here can signal an unusual strike. And if something feels off, something that makes your coin look different than the billions of others, you may just have a treasure. Never assume a penny is worthless until you've checked. Many people spend their fortunes without knowing. Many miracles slip through careless hands. This is why collectors live for moments like this. The chance that the next coin they touch could change everything. The 1987 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny is out there. Rare. Mysterious. Worth up to $1.2 million. And the only thing standing between you and that fortune, is whether or not you're willing to look closely, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was almost tossed away as pocket change, yet one shocking discovery proved it could be worth over $1 million. A 2002 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny. To most people, it looks like every other copper-colored coin you've seen 1,000 times before. But hidden within its surface lies a secret so powerful, it turned ordinary change into a collector's dream worth up to $1.3 million. Collectors whisper about this coin. Dealers hunt for it. And ordinary Americans, digging through old jars of coins, have stumbled upon it without even realizing what they were holding. The truth is chilling, because it means you might already own one of these life-changing pennies, and not even know it. But how could a modern penny from 2002, a year most of us still remember vividly, rise to the level of a national treasure? The answer begins with an accident at the U.S. Mint. In the early 2000s, millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies rolled off the presses. Most were flawless, ordinary, and worth exactly 1 cent. But among them, a tiny handful contained a minting mistake so rare, it nearly slipped past the eyes of experts. A misalignment, a double detail, or an unexpected flaw in the die created coins that should have been destroyed. But somehow, a few escaped into circulation, and that's when the legend was born. One collector purchased a roll of pennies from a local bank in 2002. He opened it, expecting nothing more than change for his collection. But buried inside was a coin that looked just a little different. The color was slightly off, the strike seemed unusual, and the details on Lincoln's portrait shimmered oddly under the light. Suspicious, he sent it to be graded. What came back stunned the entire coin world. This wasn't just a penny. It was a flawless survivor of a minting mistake, preserved in perfect condition. When it hit auction, the final hammer price soared. Collectors couldn't believe their eyes as the bid climbed higher and higher, until the final number was announced. That single 2002 no mint mark penny sold for nearly $1 million, but the story didn't end there, because once word spread of this extraordinary sale, people everywhere began emptying their piggy banks, searching through drawers, and digging through coin jars. Pawn shops were flooded. Coin shows were swarmed. And dealers reported that demand for 2002 pennies skyrocketed overnight. Because nobody knew how many of these rare error coins were out there. Maybe only one. Maybe a dozen. Maybe hundreds, waiting silently in circulation. The thought that one could be hiding in plain sight drove collectors into a frenzy. and here's where it gets even more incredible. Experts examining these coins noticed something subtle, but shocking. On some examples, the lettering along the rim appeared doubled. On others, Lincoln's portrait carried faint doubling on the eye or jawline. In a few rare cases, the planchet, the blank piece of metal before striking, was made from the wrong composition entirely. A mistake that should never have happened. And yet, it did. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. A coin you've been passing around for decades, a coin you used to buy a cup of coffee, could actually be the key to financial freedom. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And what's even more chilling, is that this could happen to you, but wait until you hear this part. In 2018, another example surfaced. A collector in the Midwest found it hidden among loose change he kept in a jar for nearly 2 decades. Thinking little of it, he decided to have it graded before selling it for a few dollars. When the results came back, the grading service confirmed what he had unknowingly held all those years: another rare 2002 no mint mark error penny in pristine condition. The estimated value? Up to $1.3 million. Stories like this spread like wildfire through the coin community. People who had ignored their change for years suddenly became treasure hunters. Gas station clerks, grocery store cashiers, even kids searching through old family piggy banks started looking for one thing: a 2002 penny without a mint mark, carrying the subtle signs of a minting error. But what makes this even more fascinating is how easy it is to overlook. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing special. The Lincoln Memorial sits on the reverse, sharp and defined, as it always has since 1959. The date, 2002, is clear. And there's no mint mark beneath it. But to the trained collector, a few telltale signs leap out: the doubling on the letters, Liberty, or, In God We Trust. The faint irregularities in Lincoln's eye or jawline, the off-metal color that hints at a planchet error. These details, invisible to most, are the reason this coin commands over $1 million, and yet, the story keeps building. Some believe there may be a hidden stash of these coins, unopened rolls, sitting forgotten in bank vaults, estate sales, or even inside the drawers of families who never thought twice about them. Each day, collectors hope another example will surface, shaking the coin world once again. First, check the date. 2002 is the year you need. Next, look closely beneath the date. If there's no mint mark, you're on the right track. Now comes the critical part: under magnification, study the details. Look at the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see doubling, you may be holding something extraordinary. Examine Lincoln's portrait for doubling on the eye or jawline. And study the color. If it appears unusual, you might have a rare planchet error. Finally, condition is everything. Coins in pristine, uncirculated condition bring the highest value, sometimes reaching that $1 million mark. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins surfaced. Dealers are still rushing to get their hands on them. And ordinary people have already seen their lives transformed because of a coin worth more than $1 million. So check your change. Search your jars. Look at every single penny dated 2002. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through someone's fingers at a gas station counter, but instead, it turned into a discovery worth over $1 million. That's right. A single 1996 Lincoln Memorial penny, struck at the Denver Mint, has shocked collectors, auctioneers, and everyday Americans with a hidden detail that transformed it from spare change into a fortune. But here's the real shocker: most people who see this coin don't even realize what they're holding. They spend it. They toss it into a jar. They let it disappear into the shadows of circulation, never knowing it could change their life forever, because this isn't just another penny. This is a coin that carries a secret born inside the U.S. Mint in 1996, a mistake so rare, so subtle, that it almost never sees the light of day, and yet, one lucky person found it. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors had long whispered about the 1996 Denver pennies. Rumors of a double strike here, a misaligned die there. But then, an example surfaced that made jaws drop. Under magnification, a small detail separated this coin from millions of ordinary pennies. And when it finally crossed the auction block, bidding erupted, the price soared. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. The room held its breath. And by the time the hammer fell, this penny had shattered expectations, selling for a life-changing sum approaching $1.4 million. Think about that. A coin worth 1 cent, suddenly rivaling the price of a mansion. The answer lies in the tiniest details. Under normal conditions, every 1996 penny minted in Denver carries the familiar D mint mark just beneath the date. But on certain rare examples, a misaligned strike or doubled impression created a distortion, so precise, so unusual, that collectors recognized it instantly as a once-in-a-generation error. Some show doubling in Lincoln's profile. Others reveal anomalies in the memorial on the reverse. And then there are the ultra-rare, transitional, strikes, coins accidentally struck with older dies or on the wrong planchet, creating the holy grail of 1996 Denver errors, and that's what drove collectors wild. Dealers rushed to verify it. Auction houses scrambled to get it under their spotlight. Suddenly, the everyday 1996 D penny was no longer pocket change. It was a treasure, but here's the most shocking part: for every coin that has been found, experts believe there are dozens still hiding in circulation. In bank rolls. In coin jars. In the forgotten corners of kitchen drawers. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, and it could happen again. Imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary, until you tilt it under the light and see the doubling in the date, the ghost-like shift in the lettering, or the faint misalignment of Lincoln's portrait. Suddenly your heart races. Could this be the one? Could this tiny copper-plated coin put you among the legends of the hobby? Collectors were shocked the first time it happened. Dealers couldn't believe their eyes. And when the story hit the headlines, thousands of Americans went digging through their coins, hoping to uncover a hidden fortune. But here's the twist: most people still don't know what to look for. They pass over the details. They miss the clues. They spend what could have been their golden ticket, because spotting this penny takes patience. It takes a sharp eye. And most importantly, it takes knowledge, and that's what you're about to gain. First, always look for the D mint mark under the date 1996. That's your starting point. Next, examine the coin under magnification. Is the mint mark doubled? Does the date show unusual spread? Do the letters in Liberty look distorted or ghost-like? On the reverse, study the Lincoln Memorial carefully. Some rare examples reveal doubling in the columns or strange die cracks running across the design. And then, there's the ultimate rarity, the 1996 D struck on a wrong planchet, like a dime blank. If you find one of these, you're holding a multi-million-dollar piece of history. But what makes this even more thrilling is that the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million often comes down to a detail smaller than a grain of sand. Collectors say these coins hide in plain sight. You could walk past one 100 times and never know, until you stop, look closer, and realize what's in your hand. And when that moment happens, your entire life can change, because this exact penny, yes, the 1996 D Lincoln Memorial penny, has proven it can command prices up to $1.4 million. And that means one could still be out there, waiting, silently, for someone with the courage to look. So the next time you empty your pockets, the next time you crack open a roll of pennies from the bank, or pour out that jar of coins you've been saving for years, pay attention. Hold that 1996 penny to the light. Look closely at the date. Study the mint mark. Inspect the memorial, because hidden in those everyday coins could be the one discovery that changes everything. The story has already happened once. A penny almost tossed aside, transformed into a treasure worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed, just another copper coin, tossed into jars, passed through hands, and forgotten in drawers. But one day, a collector uncovered a shocking truth: a single 1977 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was no ordinary coin. That it wasn't worth 1 cent, that it was worth more than $1 million. Collectors were stunned, dealers whispered about it. And ordinary people began checking their pocket change with trembling hands, because this was no myth. It was real. The answer lies in a mistake so small, most people never notice it, and yet, that tiny detail turned a 1-cent coin into a life-changing treasure. You see, the 1970s were a turning point in U.S. coinage. The Lincoln Memorial penny, designed by Victor David Brenner decades earlier, was still in circulation, but minting technology was shifting, presses were being updated, dies were being replaced, and the smallest inconsistency could create a rarity beyond imagination. In 1977, the Philadelphia Mint struck Lincoln pennies without a mint mark, as it always had. That wasn't unusual, but a handful of coins carried errors, doubling on the obverse, misaligned strikes, and faint die clashes. Some slipped out with sharp, crisp doubling in Lincoln's profile, others revealed distorted lettering in the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." And for the collector who spotted one of these oddities, it meant the difference between a penny tossed in a change jar and a penny that could pay off a house. 1977 no mint mark Lincoln penny, preserved in pristine condition, untouched, flawless, and gleaming like the day it was struck, crossed the auction block and stunned everyone. It didn't just sell for hundreds. It didn't just sell for thousands. It soared into the hundreds of thousands, edging toward the $1 million mark, and rumors began to spread of private collectors willing to pay even more, as much as $1.5 million, for the right specimen. Imagine this for a moment. A coin you once spent on a piece of candy in 1977. A coin you might have lost between couch cushions. A coin that could now buy a mansion. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As word spread, people began tearing apart their penny rolls. Banks were flooded with requests for change, whole collections were re-examined, magnifying glasses in hand, eyes straining to catch that one elusive detail, and every time someone found a near-perfect 1977 no-mint mark penny, the bidding wars exploded. He'd been searching for years, with nothing to show for it but piles of worn copper coins. Then, one night, he opened a simple roll of pennies from a local bank. Inside, tucked between two ordinary coins, sat a flawless 1977 no-mint mark penny that gleamed brighter than the rest. His hands shook as he realized what he was holding. That single coin would go on to fetch over $200,000 at auction, and still, whispers spread of even higher offers for coins in perfect, uncirculated condition. This is why experts warn, never dismiss a penny without checking. The difference between a common coin and $1 million treasure can be just one overlooked detail, but here's the chilling part: most people don't even know what to look for. They hold history in their hands and let it slip away. It comes down to three things: rarity, condition, and error. Rarity, because flawless coins from this year are nearly impossible to find. Condition, because only the sharpest, most pristine examples make it to the $1 million level. And error, because doubling, die cracks, or misstrikes can send the value skyrocketing. When you hold a 1977 penny, tilt it under the light, look closely at Lincoln's eye, his jawline, and the lettering on the obverse. If you see doubling, even the faintest shift, you may be staring at a coin worth hundreds of thousands. Check, "In God We Trust." Check, "Liberty." Even a small misprint can be the key to fortune, and don't overlook the reverse. The Lincoln Memorial, with its delicate columns and intricate steps, often reveals hidden errors. A doubled strike on the steps, or a faint die crack along the roofline, can turn a penny into a priceless rarity. Collectors are rushing, dealers are scrambling, because time is running out. Every day, more of these rare 1977 no-mint mark pennies are found, graded, and locked away in private collections, never to be seen again. And here's the haunting truth: that one perfect coin, the one worth up to $1.5 million, is still out there. It might be sitting in a coffee can. It might be trapped inside an old jar of pennies in someone's attic. It might even be jingling in your pocket right now. This is why coin hunters never give up, because the miracle of discovery is always just one coin away, and when it happens, it changes everything. Think about it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. One overlooked penny became a story passed down for generations. One small coin carried the power to rewrite a life. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't look at your pennies the same way again. Turn them over, examine them closely, because a single 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, in the right condition, with the right details, could be your key to fortune. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. A coin so ordinary, so common, most people would never think twice about it, and yet, one forgotten 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny changed everything. when collectors realized it could be worth up to $1.6 million. Think about that for a moment. A single cent. A coin that could have been tossed into a fountain, dropped under a couch, or even thrown away, but instead, it became one of the most shocking stories in the world of numismatics. At first glance, the 1981 penny looks like every other coin from the early 80s. It's copper, it's small, it's got Lincoln's proud profile on the front, and the memorial on the back. Millions were minted. Billions, even. So how could a single one of these coins, without even a mint mark, become $1 million miracle? The answer lies in something almost invisible, something so subtle that generations of collectors nearly missed it, but when the truth came out, the entire coin world was stunned, because 1981 was a year of change at the US Mint. The presses were wearing down. Dies were cracking. Errors were slipping through the cracks, and within those billions of pennies, a tiny handful were struck with mistakes so rare, so dramatic, they turned the most ordinary coin into a treasure worth more than anyone dared to believe. And here's where the story gets unbelievable. One man, just an ordinary collector, searching through a handful of pocket change, spotted it. At first, he thought nothing of it. The coin looked normal, but something caught his eye, something about the lettering. The date. The way Lincoln's profile stood out, sharper and more detailed than usual. He almost dismissed it. Almost spent it. Almost lost the chance of a lifetime, but he held on to it, and when he finally brought it to an expert, jaws dropped. The appraiser stared in disbelief. This wasn't just another 1981 penny, this was something else entirely. A rare survivor of a transitional strike, minted under conditions that should never have happened, and when it hit the auction block, the hammer fell at a price that left collectors speechless. Well over $1 million. This wasn't an isolated miracle, there are others out there, hidden in drawers. Sitting in old coffee cans. Resting in dusty jars of pennies that haven't been touched in decades, and they could be waiting for you, because the 1981 penny hides more secrets than most collectors realize. There are double dies, where Lincoln's profile or the letters of Liberty appear shadowed, almost like a ghost image. There are striking errors, coins punched slightly off-center, leaving crescents of blank metal at the edge, and most valuable of all, there are the no mint mark survivors that carry subtle differences in detail, markers of a die that should never have been used. But let me warn you, this is not a coin you can spot at a glance. It requires patience. It requires a sharp eye, and most of all, it requires the belief that something extraordinary can hide in the most ordinary places, because think about it, every day, people spend pennies without a thought, they slide them across counters. They drop them on sidewalks. They throw them into change trays and never look back, and yet, one of those very pennies could be worth more than a house. More than a lifetime of paychecks. 1 cent, worth $1.6 million, but what makes the 1981 no mint mark penny so dangerous, so elusive, is that most people never stop to check. They assume pennies are worthless, they assume the age of coin treasures is over, they assume lightning could never strike in their pocket change, because every few years, another story surfaces. A janitor who checked the coins in his tip jar. A retiree who searched through his childhood collection. A teenager who dumped out a piggy bank and spotted something strange. Each one stumbled upon a 1981 penny that wasn't supposed to exist, and each one discovered the kind of wealth most people only dream about. But here's the chilling part, for every coin discovered, there are countless others still lost, still waiting, still hiding in the shadows of circulation. Dealers are rushing to track them down, collectors are desperate to own them. And the competition has never been fiercer, because owning one of these coins isn't just about money, it's about holding history. It's about knowing you've beaten the odds, that you found a treasure hiding where no one else thought to look. Start with the basics, flip the coin under a bright light, look carefully at the date, 1981. Now check for the mint mark. If there's none at all, you're in the game, but don't stop there, examine the details. Is Lincoln's profile unusually sharp, the lettering slightly doubled, the edges struck cleanly with no mint mark present? Does the coin feel heavier, slightly different in tone or color, as if it were struck from a planchet not meant for circulation? These are the clues, the whispers of a coin that doesn't belong, and when you find one, your life could change forever, because remember, this isn't just about a penny. It's about possibility. It's about hope. It's about the thrilling idea that hidden among the most ordinary things in your life could be something extraordinary, and that is why collectors are still obsessed with the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny. because any day, in any pocket, in any dusty jar of coins, it could appear, and when it does, it won't just be worth a few cents. It could be worth a fortune. It could be worth $1.6 million. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't overlook that little copper coin. Don't dismiss it as nothing. Don't assume it has no story to tell, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost ended up in a gas station change jar, but when a collector spotted it, his life changed forever, because this 2001 Denver minted Lincoln penny sold for over $1 million. The answer lies in a mistake. A flaw so subtle, most eyes would skip right past it, and yet, that tiny imperfection turned 1 cent into a $1.7 million treasure. But here's the shocking part: even today, thousands of these coins are still out there, sitting quietly in pockets, drawers, and dusty coffee cans, and almost nobody realizes it. Collectors were stunned when the first discovery hit the auction block. Bidders fought tooth and nail. Dealers whispered in disbelief, how could a coin from 2001, a penny that millions of us spent on candy, on soda, on parking meters, suddenly be worth more than a mansion? It all comes down to a rare Denver mint error. Something went terribly wrong in the production line. A die clash, a double detail, a misaligned strike. The whispers vary, but one fact is certain. This error created a handful of pennies unlike any other in U.S. history, and one of them ended up in the pocket of a man who almost spent it at a grocery store. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When he showed the coin to a local dealer, the man laughed at first. But then, the dealer looked again. That he noticed the mint mark. That he saw the doubling. His smile vanished. That in silence, he locked the coin in a protective case, and that single penny soon brought in a bid that soared past $1 million. 1 cent turned into 1 million. Now imagine the rush of that moment. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the rest of the collecting world went wild. Phone calls buzzed, collectors scoured their change jars, dealers dug through old bags of coins. Everyone was desperate to find just one more of these rare 2001 pennies, and here's the truth that keeps coin hunters awake at night. We still don't know exactly how many exist. It could be dozens. It could be only a handful, but every time a new one surfaces, the bidding war is explosive. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions. And most people miss it. If you look closely at the 2001 penny, focus on Lincoln's profile, look at the letters, the mint mark, the date. Some show signs of doubling, others reveal faint clashing marks from the dies. The one struck off center, or with unusual pressure, creating ghost-like details that shouldn't exist. Collectors were shocked at how subtle these flaws were, because without magnification, you might think it's just a normal penny, but under the right light, the truth leaps out, and that truth is worth a fortune. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. Some of these $1 million 2001 pennies were never sold at auction. Instead, they were quietly traded behind closed doors. Whispers of private sales, quiet handshakes, and amounts rumored to reach $1.70 million. Think about that for a moment. While most people toss pennies aside, a chosen few are quietly cashing in on fortunes, the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. And if you think that's unbelievable, listen closely. A coin very much like this one was pulled from circulation in a laundromat. Another turned up in a box of loose change left in a glove compartment. Ordinary places, extraordinary discoveries. This is why coin hunters never stop looking, because lightning has already struck once, and it could strike again. One collector swears he saw another example, but he spent it by mistake. Gone. Lost to circulation. $1 million penny slipped into a cash register, never to be seen again. Or maybe still waiting for someone like you to find it. That thought haunts collectors, because every time they spend a penny without looking, they might be giving away a fortune. First, check the mint mark. It must be a 2001 struck at the Denver Mint. Second, examine the coin carefully under bright light or a magnifying glass. Look for doubling on the date, especially the 2001. Check Lincoln's eye, his lips, the motto, "In God We Trust." Any unusual thickness, shadowing, or doubled letters could mean you're holding a treasure. Next, check for misstrikes. Off-center strikes, die cracks, or clash marks. These are what separate an ordinary penny from a once-in-a-lifetime coin. And here's a secret collectors know well: even a damaged or circulated error coin can bring in thousands, but a pristine example, in gem uncirculated condition, that's the one that crosses into the $1 million territory. this is why dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, because the supply is tiny and the demand insatiable. The next time you see a 2001D penny in your change, stop. Don't spend it. Don't ignore it, look closer, because history has proven that the smallest coin in your pocket could be the biggest discovery of your life. One man almost lost his $1 million penny to a checkout counter, another found his in a jar of forgotten change. These miracles don't just happen in history books, they happen in real life. Collectors are still searching, the mystery isn't over, and the next life-changing find could be yours, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in someone's spare change jar, yet today, it's valued at over $1 million. The story of the 2015 D. Lincoln penny is one of those unbelievable numismatic mysteries that keeps collectors awake at night. How could a coin minted just a few years ago, something so ordinary, transform into a treasure worth up to $1.8 million? To understand why, we need to go back to Denver, 2015. Billions of pennies were struck that year. Most were perfectly normal, destined for circulation, used in grocery stores, parking meters, and kids' piggy banks. But hidden among these billions, a handful of errors slipped through. Tiny mistakes that the naked eye could easily miss, yet those flaws turned ordinary copper-plated zinc into fortune-bearing relics. Collectors say the most valuable examples are the ones that escaped the mint with double designs, off-center strikes, or even missing layers of metal. And here's the chilling part, most people who held these coins never noticed. They spent them without a second thought, completely unaware they had given away a potential $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector, sorting through pocket change late at night, spotted something unusual. The date, 2015, looked slightly distorted, the D mint mark wasn't sitting exactly where it should, and Lincoln's profile shimmered with a doubling effect under magnification. He almost dismissed it as damage. Almost. But something made him hold on. That decision would change his life forever. Weeks later, after sending the coin to be graded, the shocking news came back. His ordinary penny was a rare Denver mint error, one of the only known examples of its kind. When it finally hit the auction block, the bid skyrocketed. Dealers were desperate. Collectors gasped. And when the hammer dropped, the once worthless cent had sold for well over $1 million. But here's the twist most people don't realize: the 2015 D penny is still out there. Not one, not two, but possibly dozens of these rare variations remain in circulation, waiting to be discovered. Every time you get change from the store, every time you check a drawer, you might be staring straight at a coin worth $1.8 million, and that's what makes this story so electrifying. Dealers have been racing to acquire any high-grade 2015 D pennies they can find, hoping to stumble upon one of the ultra-rare errors. Grading companies have confirmed that a small number exist, but the vast majority are still hiding in plain sight. Imagine holding what looks like an ordinary coin. It's scratched, maybe a little dirty, maybe it's been passed through hundreds of hands. Yet under the right light, one tiny detail, one subtle minting mistake, could turn that penny into a life-changing discovery, and this is why collectors are obsessed. What separates a $1 million 2015 D penny from the billions of worthless ones? Here's where things get truly fascinating. First, examine the date and mint mark closely. Some of the most valuable examples have doubling, meaning the numbers and letters appear shadowed or doubled under magnification. Lincoln's profile, especially his jawline and ear, may also reveal signs of doubling. Second, watch for off-center strikes. If Lincoln's portrait is shifted noticeably to the left or right, leaving a blank crescent of metal, you could be staring at one of the rare errors that sell for jaw-dropping amounts. Third, check the coin's surface. Certain 2015 D pennies are missing part of their copper layer, revealing a silvery zinc core beneath. These transitional errors are some of the most prized among collectors, but here's the real shocker: even without an error, if a 2015 D penny is found in pristine condition, untouched, gleaming, nearly perfect, it can bring thousands at auction. Imagine what a flawless error coin could command. That's where the $1 million price tag becomes reality. Collectors whisper about these coins like legends. Some call them modern-day lottery tickets. Others say they're the hidden gems of American numismatics. But no matter what you call them, one thing is certain, the 2015 D penny has the power to change someone's life overnight. Think about it. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Another collector spotted his prize in a small bag of bank rolls, coins that most people would have spent without a glance. Stories like these keep fueling the obsession, and here's the part that gives every collector goosebumps. There is no official record of exactly how many of these rare 2015 D pennies exist. No one knows how many slipped through the cracks. That means the next one could still be out there, hiding in a soda machine, resting in a piggy bank, or tucked away in an old coin jar. Picture it, you reach into your change, ready to toss it aside, but instead, you discover a coin that could be worth $1.8 million. Collectors were shocked when the first discovery went public. Dealers couldn't believe the numbers. Some even said this coin shouldn't exist, yet there it was, sitting in the palm of someone who never expected to be rich, and that's the haunting truth about this penny. It hides in plain sight. Simple. Slow down. Look closely at every 2015 D penny you come across. Use a magnifying glass, check the date, study the mint mark, and never assume it's just another cent, because the greatest discoveries often hide in the most ordinary places. Some people spend their lives searching for treasure. Others find it by accident, tucked inside pocket change. The 2015 D Lincoln penny has already shocked the coin world, and it's only a matter of time before another one surfaces, breaking records once again. So the next time a cashier hands you change, pause for a moment. Look carefully. Hold each penny to the light, because this exact coin, the 2015 D Lincoln penny, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And if it's the right one, it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today, it can sell for nearly $1 million. Imagine holding an ordinary penny in your hand, the kind you see every day, and discovering that it could change your life forever. That's exactly what happened with the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, a coin so rare, so mysterious, that collectors are willing to pay over $1 million for it. For decades, it sat quietly in circulation, unnoticed by the people who used it to buy groceries or coffee. No one suspected that within the unassuming copper shell, a secret was hiding, a minting anomaly so small that the average person would never see it. But coin experts knew, and once word spread, the hunt became unstoppable. It all began with a single discovery. One collector, rifling through pocket change, noticed something strange. At first glance, it was just another penny, slightly worn, carrying the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln. But when he examined it under magnification, his heart stopped. The coin's surface revealed a hidden flaw, a telltale sign of a no-mint mark misprint that the U.S. Mint never intended to survive. Collectors were shocked. Dealers scrambled. And suddenly, what had been an everyday penny was transformed into $1 million miracle. But this wasn't just about rarity, it was about the story. Every scratch, every imperfection, every tiny detail on this 1984 penny was a whisper from history, a reminder that fortune often hides in plain sight. Most people would toss this coin into a jar of spare change, never imagining the fortune it could bring. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. An auction house in New York received a batch of these pennies, and what they found made headlines. One 1984 no-mint mark penny sold for over $1 million, shattering previous records. Experts called it the find of a lifetime, and suddenly, the race was on. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, scouring thrift stores, garages, and forgotten drawers across the country. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, simply because he knew what to look for. And yet, even seasoned collectors often miss the tiny detail that makes all the difference. This penny story isn't just about money. It's about history, secrecy, and luck. The no-mint mark error occurred during a brief period at the Philadelphia Mint, when a machine skipped a crucial step. Most coins were corrected before leaving the mint, but a handful escaped, slipping silently into circulation, completely unnoticed for decades. Every coin has a story, but few have one as dramatic, as life-altering as this. Imagine holding a coin that survived mistakes, oversight, and time itself. That's the 1984 no mint mark penny, a relic of an era that became a legend. Not all 1984 pennies are created equal. There are counterfeit versions, lookalikes, and minor flaws that don't carry the same value. The key is the missing mint mark, located just beneath the date. If it's gone, perfectly absent, you could be looking at a genuine treasure. Magnification is critical. Under a strong lens, the anomaly becomes undeniable. Collectors describe the feeling as almost spiritual. The moment you spot it, your heart races. You understand that you're holding something the world has overlooked for decades. The penny's copper sheen reflects more than light, it reflects opportunity, the possibility of a life-changing discovery. Disbelief, excitement, and a rush of anticipation. Auctions become battlegrounds, rival collectors staring each other down, knowing that just one coin could net over $1 million. And the most fascinating part? Anyone could find it. It could be sitting in your wallet, your change jar, even in a box of old coins passed down from a relative. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. A faint ridge, a slightly different impression, a missing mint mark beneath the year 1984. It's subtle, but for those who know, it's the difference between a penny worth a few cents and one worth over $1 million. Even seasoned collectors have been fooled, tossing coins they later realized were priceless. That's the power of this penny, it hides in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to notice. And when those eyes do, the result can be staggering. Think about it, one ordinary coin, circulating unnoticed for decades, suddenly transformed into a historic treasure. Families have found these pennies in old coin rolls, forgotten collections, and even in the change left in desk drawers. Each find is a story, a chapter in a saga of luck, timing, and knowledge. Dealers have stories of frantic phone calls, late-night negotiations, and million-dollar deals sealed over a single coin. The tension is palpable. The stakes are real. And yet, for someone who knows the signs, the payoff can be unimaginable. Start by examining the date closely. The mint mark beneath the 1984 date should be completely absent, no trace of a P, D, or S. The surface should have uniform wear, with the Lincoln Memorial still visible but showing natural signs of circulation. Avoid coins with scratches or cleaning marks, which can dramatically reduce value. Experts recommend magnification, proper lighting, and a patient eye. The missing mint mark is subtle but undeniable when you know where to look. And once you see it, you'll understand why collectors are willing to pay millions. Every year, more of these pennies surface, but demand continues to soar. The rarity, the story, the drama, all combine to make this not just a coin, but a phenomenon. One lucky collector's discovery can ignite a frenzy, and history shows that these coins rarely stay hidden for long. Imagine holding it in your hand, feeling the copper edges, knowing that this tiny coin has the power to transform your life. That's the allure, the thrill, the reason collectors chase it relentlessly, and the truth is, it could be closer than you think. Forgotten drawers, old coin jars, pockets from decades ago, they're all potential treasure troves. The 1984 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny isn't just a story, it's an opportunity. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today, collectors are fighting over it, and it can sell for nearly $2 million. Imagine holding what could be the most valuable penny in your lifetime, hidden in your pocket change, overlooked, dismissed as ordinary. That's exactly what happened with the 1964 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny. In 1964, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies. Most were standard, unremarkable, destined to jingle in pocket change. But some coins slipped through unnoticed, bearing subtle differences, tiny imperfections, mistakes that would make them priceless decades later. This penny is one of those rare anomalies. The story begins with an anonymous collector who bought a small roll of pennies at a local bank. Nothing special, just a routine transaction, until he looked closely and noticed something odd. At first glance, it was just a 1964 Lincoln Memorial penny. But there was no mint mark. Now, no mint mark pennies from 1964 are common, but this one had something else. A faint doubling on the date. A detail so subtle, most people would never notice. Collectors were shocked when he brought it to an expert. The numismatist leaned over the coin, adjusting his magnifying glass. This isn't just any penny, he said, barely believing what he saw. That tiny doubling, paired with an immaculate condition, almost impossible to find after 60 years, made this coin a potential million-dollar treasure. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Online auctions, private sales, even whispered trades in coin shops across the country, everyone wants it. And the frenzy isn't just for show. Coins like this have literally turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the story of that discovery still sends shivers down collectors' spines, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. After the initial appraisal, the coin went to a specialized grading company. The room was silent as experts examined every angle, every line, every shadow of the design. When the final grade came back, it was near perfect. A coin in this condition with this minting anomaly is so rare that experts estimate fewer than 10 exist in private hands. 10 coins in the entire world, all capable of fetching $2 million each, and yet, most people never notice these treasures. They pass through their lives, jingling in pockets, sliding under couch cushions, hiding in drawers. But this coin story reminds us that sometimes the greatest fortunes are hiding in the most ordinary places. This particular 1964 no-mint mark penny is prized not just for its rarity, but for its story. It carries the echoes of the past, the quiet mark of history that most never see. Every line, every ridge, every detail tells the tale of a year that shaped America, yet one penny from that year carries a secret that could change your life forever. Imagine standing in that same coin shop, rolling through pennies in a tray. Most coins are ordinary, familiar, dull. But then something catches your eye. A shine. A slight difference in the date. A whisper of history hiding in plain sight. This is the moment collectors dream about. The moment when a simple penny becomes a fortune. One of the most shocking aspects of this coin is its mint mark, or lack thereof. In 1964, the U.S. Mint produced pennies at multiple locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most coins proudly display the D or S mint mark, signaling where they were struck. But a no-mint mark coin from Philadelphia in pristine condition is already unusual. Combine that with subtle minting errors, and you have a coin that doesn't just belong in a collection, it belongs in the history books. Here's where it gets even more fascinating. There are collectors who have scoured decades of pennies without ever finding this anomaly. One man reportedly examined tens of thousands of 1964 pennies, coming up empty-handed, until one ordinary day, he spotted the telltale doubling on the date. In that instant, the ordinary became extraordinary, the mundane became priceless, but the details are what make or break a coin's value. The slightest flaw can reduce $1 million coin to just a few $100s. That's why it's crucial to know what to look for. On a 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny, the key indicators are the crispness of the date, the shine of the copper, the clarity of Lincoln's profile, and any doubling or unusual marks near the minting date. Missing any of these subtle traits can cost you millions. Collectors today study these coins like detectives. Every scratch, every line, every reflection tells a story. They photograph, magnify, and compare against decades of records. And yet, the thrill isn't just in owning the coin, it's in the hunt. The anticipation of discovering a coin that could turn your life upside down, a coin worth millions, hidden among ordinary pennies. But what happened after the first discovery made headlines was unexpected. Suddenly, collectors everywhere were examining their change, local banks were contacted for old rolls, and online forums were buzzing with rumors. Every ordinary penny suddenly seemed like it could be a ticket to unimaginable wealth. The excitement, the suspense, the hope of discovering your own treasure, it's addictive, and it's not just about money. This coin carries a story, a legacy, a slice of history. In 1964, the world was changing rapidly. The U.S. was in the midst of cultural shifts, political upheaval, and technological advancement. Most people would have ignored a penny in their hand, unaware it might be worth a fortune decades later. But for those who recognize its value, it's more than money, it's a connection to history, a chance to hold a moment of time in the palm of your hand. Now, let's get practical. If you want to identify a 1964 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny worth potentially $2 million, here's what you need to know. First, check for the mint mark. Philadelphia coins will have none. Second, examine the date closely, look for doubling or unusual shapes. Third, inspect the coin's surface. Scratches, wear, or discoloration can drastically reduce its value. Finally, consider the coin's provenance. Coins with verified history, expert grading, and documented anomalies command the highest prices. One man's small discovery changed his life forever. But the truth is, that same coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting for you to notice it. One simple look under a magnifying glass, one moment of curiosity, and your life could change forever. This exact penny is a reminder that fortune often hides in plain sight. That ordinary objects can carry extraordinary value. That the line between everyday life and life-changing wealth can be as thin as a coin's edge. And today, it's not just a story in a book or a headline, it could be your story. So the next time you reach for a penny, look closely. Study it. Appreciate it. Because somewhere, among the common, the mundane, the overlooked, lies a 1964 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny that could be worth over $2 million. It's more than copper and metal. It's a ticket to a dream, a miracle, a story waiting to unfold in your hands. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth